Self-care is the beginning, not the destination. True fulfillment comes when you move beyond momentary comfort and start building a life rooted in purpose, contribution, and deep inner peace. In this powerful and heartfelt video, a wise man shares personal stories, timeless lessons, and practical steps to help you shift from survival mode to meaningful living. Ready to go deeper than bubble baths and break days? Let's talk about purpose, presence, and what it really means to live a life that matters. Comment, what does purpose mean to you right now? Like, if this message touched your heart, subscribe for weekly soul wisdom. Share this with someone who's been searching for more. You know, somewhere along the way, self-care became a buzzword. Candles, journals, spa days. And don't get me wrong, those things matter. They can calm the mind, reset the body. But what happens after the face mask comes off? What happens when you've rested, but your soul still feels tired? That's when you know it's time to go deeper. Because beyond self-care, there's soul care, there's purpose, there's meaning, and that is what truly heals. Self-care is a great start. It teaches you that you're worth time and attention. But the problem is, many people stop there. They soothe their pain, but never address the root. They distract themselves with comfort, but avoid the deeper questions. Why am I really here? What kind of legacy do I want to leave? What would a meaningful life look like for me? Years ago, I was burnt out, working hard, achieving much, but feeling empty. I was doing all the self-care things, but still felt like I was drifting. It wasn't until I asked myself, what am I truly contributing to the world, that I started to shift. Living with purpose requires brutal honesty. You have to look in the mirror and ask, am I proud of how I'm spending my time? Am I aligned with my values or just surviving each day? Say this with me. I am done pretending comfort is enough. I want connection. I want contribution. I want meaning. Your soul was not built for small talk and small goals. You were built to build, to serve, to rise. But first, you must understand yourself. What makes you feel alive? What breaks your heart in a way that calls you to act? Follow that. Purpose often hides in the tension between your joy and your burden. People often think purpose is a destination, like a job title or a big mission. But here's what I've learned. Purpose is not a job. It's how you show up in everything you do. You can be a janitor with purpose. You can be a parent, a student, a cashier with purpose. It's not what you do, it's why you do it. When you cook a meal with love, when you speak kindly to a stranger, when you listen without interrupting, that's purpose in motion. I once met a retired bus driver who told me, I didn't just drive people, I made sure they felt seen. That was my purpose. And that, my friend, changed how I see everything. So how do you live with purpose, practically? You start with daily alignment. Purposeful lives are not built in grand gestures, but in consistent choices. Ask yourself each morning, what would a meaningful day look like today? What one thing can I do that reflects who I truly am? Maybe it's calling your mother. Maybe it's finishing that book that's been tugging at your heart. Maybe it's showing up fully for your work, not because you have to, but because your presence matters. Every purposeful life is built one mindful choice at a time. Let me tell you a secret. When life feels empty, serve someone else. Purpose often shows up when we stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give? When I started mentoring younger men in my community, something shifted. I was no longer just chasing my own goals. I was pouring into others. And oddly enough, that's when I felt most alive. Serving doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be a smile, a prayer, a meal, a word of encouragement. But every act of service waters the roots of your own soul. Before the day ends, reflect. Sit in stillness. Ask yourself, did I live today on purpose? What pulled me off track? How can I realign tomorrow? Don't wait for clarity to agree in lightning bolts. Most days, purpose whispers. But if you listen, really listen, it will speak. My friend, self-care is the warm bath, but purpose, that's the deep water. That's where your roots grow. That's where peace becomes unshakable. So yes, take care of your body, but nourish your soul. Live like your life matters, because it does. And remember, purpose is not found in escaping life, but in embracing it fully, courageously, mindfully. When we hear the word self-care, we often think of things we can do to feel better. A walk, a warm bath, a break from the noise. And those things, they matter. They are necessary, but they are not enough because you weren't born just to cope. You were born to create, to love deeply, to leave something behind that matters. You see, there's a life beyond just taking care of yourself. There's a life that pulls you towards something greater than comfort, a life of purpose. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. We've been sold a lie, that if we feel good, we are doing good. But the truth is, some of the most meaningful things in life are uncomfortable. Growth isn't always soothing. Sometimes it feels like confusion. Sometimes it feels like pain. But it is still growth. There was a time in my life when I was doing everything right. Waking up early, meditating, journaling, checking off all the boxes of self-care. And yet, something inside felt empty. I realized I was building a safe bubble, but not a meaningful life. That's when the journey really began. Each of us has a quiet calling inside, but it gets drowned out by comparison, by distraction, by fear. You don't need to be famous. You don't need millions of followers. You just need to be faithful to what's been placed inside you. Purpose often begins where your deep gladness meets the world's deep need. I knew a woman who loved painting, but she always said, "It's just a hobby." Until one day she painted portraits for grieving families who had lost loved ones. And that hobby became a ministry of healing. What if your deepest joy is someone else's answered prayer? You don't have to prove your purpose. You only have to live it. Many people exhaust themselves trying to be seen as purposeful. They build the image, curate the brand, but the soul is starving. Say this with me: I don't need to be impressive. I need to be intentional. I don't chase purpose, I embody it. I once mentored a young man who wanted to change the world. I told him, start with your family, start with your friends, be consistent. 10 years later, he's leading community programs, not because he tried to impress anyone, but because he showed up every day with real care. Let's talk about time. You get 24 hours, no more, no less. And every day you're making a trade. Trading your time for what? For scrolling? For people who don't see you? For tasks that bring no joy, no impact? Listen closely. Every minute you waste on what doesn't matter is a minute stolen from what does. Purposeful living is not about doing more. It's about doing less of what's meaningless. Create margin, make space, reflect often. How do you know you're on the right path? Not because it's easy, not because it's perfect, but because you feel peace in your spirit. It's a quiet confidence, a deep knowing that what you're doing matters, even if no one sees it yet. I met a man who left a high-paying job to teach underprivileged kids how to read. He told me, I make less, but I sleep better. That's purpose. It's not always profitable, but it's always powerful. So my friend, take care of yourself, absolutely. But don't stop there. Build something greater than comfort. Build a life that feeds your soul and touches others. Because at the end of your life, it won't matter how many spa days you had. What will matter is who you became, what you gave, and how many lives you quietly lifted just by showing up with love. Comfort fades, but purpose becomes legacy. So go beyond self-care and become someone unforgettable. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who's searching for more. And before you go, like, comment, what's one purpose-driven thing you'll do this week? Subscribe for more soul-deep conversations. We're building something real here, and I'm honored you're part of it.